What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Greg back again with another video. If you're new to this channel, we talk about fragrance related topics, so there's something that you're interested in, please consider hitting that subscribe button. Make sure you hit the notification bell so you'll be notified every single time I upload. Right, so today we're going to discuss something that normally happens when you go out and smell fragrances for the first time, when you sample fragrances for the first time, or sometimes even when you blind buy, which you should not be doing. So there's going to be somewhat of a lesson in this video, but I have 4 fragrances that we're going to talk about today that I was actually wrong about. All right, so the first fragrance we're going to talk about is a fragrance that was really hyped up when it first came out. And, you know, I went out, I tested it, and I liked it, but it wasn't something that blew my mind. But the reason why I liked it is because it gave me a significant memory of something specifically. And we'll talk about that later. But the fragrance that I'm talking about is from the house of Argos, and it's Triumph of Bakkers. So this fragrance right here is a fragrance that when I first smelled it, I was like, okay, it smells good, but it really reminded me of something. And back in the day, like when I was young, my dad used to always wear chapstick, and it was like the strawberry one, and this had that scent to it. So it kind of meant something to me because it kind of gave me memories of being with my dad and things like that. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna pick it up. However, in the back of my mind, I was just kind of like, it's not nothing special, you know, for the price. But because it gave me that significant memory, I went ahead and picked it up. Now, the reason why I say I was wrong about this was because when I first smelled it, it was nothing special. But then over time, when I just kind of let it sit, I don't know what it was, but it just started to get richer. I mean, you could say my nose changed or whatever, but it seemed like it got more dense, it got more richer. You know, those fruity notes up top really were pronouncing themselves, but it wasn't like a feminine fruitiness. You know what I mean? It was just like a nice, well-blended fruitiness from that apple and that peach. And then like right there in the core, it was somewhat edgy, you know, just kind of giving it a little bit of darkness, but not too dark. It just really was addicting. For some reason, like when I put this on maybe 2-3 weeks ago, it was very, very addicting. Just get like some booziness, some fruitiness, and just some dense richness, man. But honestly, to me, man, this is now one of my top picks in my entire collection. And like I said, it was something I was wrong about. You know, I didn't think it was nothing special, but now it actually is special to me. So again, from the house of Argos, Triumph of Bakkers. All right, so the next fragrance we're gonna talk about is a fragrance that, you know, I smelled this one years ago. I think this came out in like 2006 or something like that, and I smelled it, and especially at that time, man, I wasn't ready for a fragrance like this. You know, something that was a bit edgy, a bit daring, something that was along the lines of being a bit on the funky side, but not really. It's not aromatic or anything like that, but it just was a lot, especially for someone who's just getting into fragrances, who knows hasn't matured. And the fragrance that I'm talking about is from the house of Hermes, and it's Terre d'Hermes EDT. Man, this stuff right here is special. I mean, it has a scent profile that is extremely unique. And it's crazy because it's like you got a mixture of spiciness from that pink pepper, then you got that brightness up top, but then as it starts to dry down, that vetiver really starts to push through. But at the time when I smelled that, you know, I wasn't a vetiver guy. I wasn't trying to smell no peppery scents and, you know, the whole brightness. Like, I just wanted something that was like extremely mainstream, something that was simple, something that was just simply fresh. And this wasn't it, man. This one right here was very, very challenging at the time. And I was like, man, this stuff smells horrible. But now, man, I'm telling you, this probably is top 10 now in my entire collection. I think I've worn this like 3 times this week already, man. I'm telling you, this is a beautiful fragrance, very masculine. Pretty much just opens up, you know, bright, fresh and citrusy, but immediately that pepper, that spiciness starts to kick in, and then those things start to merge, and then that vetiver really starts to ooze out. And if any of you guys have seen, you know, some of my videos, I've said that vetiver is one of my favorite notes when it comes to fragrances. So now this is one of my favorite fragrances, man. So if you smelled this before and you were like, man, I don't like that, go ahead and give it another try, give it a full wearing, and your mind might just change, okay? So again, from the house of Hermes, Terre d'Hermes. So the next fragrance we're gonna talk about is a fragrance that, it was just too classic for me at first. You know, when I first smelled it, I made the mistake of just smelling it from the atomizer, not actually spraying it on my skin and actually giving it a full wearing. And I was like, man, this smells like an old grandpa. Like, I'm not trying to wear this, dude, but I smelled it recently, and I'm telling you, I actually put it on my skin because I was just hearing the hype and the rave about it from specific YouTubers. And I'm like, okay, let me go back and try this fragrance because it wasn't that good to me, but let me go back and try it. And man, I promise you, I fell in love. I actually got a compliment right away just from spraying it a little bit on my skin. So the fragrance that I'm talking about is from the house of Tom Ford, and it's Beau de Jour. This fragrance right here, man, yes, it opens up with that classic barbershop kind of, 80s, maybe even 90s feel. Yes, it does have that classic feel, but at the same time, it has a slight moderate touch because on my skin, as it starts to dry down, it gets really mossy and woody, and it just becomes very intoxicating. For some reason, like I just couldn't stop smelling this fragrance. So I had to go out and pick it up because it was like a man's fragrance. It was fresh, had that classy vibe to it, kind of like a gentlemanly scent. You know what I mean? It's not like an old grandpa scent, but it does come off that way to begin with. But I'm telling you guys, when you smell this, put it on your skin and just walk around, that edginess and that old school vibe, it starts to mellow out. It stays there, but it starts to mellow out and just becomes something that's actually a nice, manly, gentlemanly fragrance, man. So I'm telling you, if you wrote this one off like I did, go back, put it on your skin, and try it out, okay? Again, from the house of Tom Ford, Beau de Jour. All right, man. Last but not least, this fragrance is a fragrance that was extremely, I wouldn't say hyped up, but it was a controversial fragrance when it came out back in 2020. And that's because this fragrance before had a completely different scent DNA. And with me saying it, I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. And it's from the house of Dior, and it's Dior Homme 2020. Now, a lot of people don't like this fragrance, and I'll be honest, I was one of them. But I think it was mainly because I was just being biased. I really enjoyed the original one. And the original one is way different from this one. The original one is kind of like a fragrance that you wear in cool weather. It kind of has that sweetness. This right here took a totally different route. This one right here is just fresh, citrusy, extremely woody. It's a little bit more masculine, and it's a little bit more on the mainstream side, It doesn't have a ton of uniqueness to it. However, I like it, for some reason. Like, I went back, I smelled it again, trying to give it another try, and I actually enjoyed it. I put it on my skin, and I just kept smelling it throughout the day, walking through the mall. And I'm like, man, this is really good. It's actually a really good fragrance. Now, something that I really noticed about this fragrance that I didn't notice at first was that it actually had vetiver in it. And like I said before, I love vetiver. But it wasn't like very pronounced when I first sprayed it on. Honestly, it was kind of like a sharp, edgy, screechy scent when I first sprayed. And even now, that's what I get, But immediately after it starts to dry down, that vetiver really starts to pronounce itself. And that, I think, is what really hooked me on this fragrance, man. It was just like, wow, like this is a dumb reach type of fragrance. No, it's not like the original, but at the same time, it's a fragrance that, you can wear this daily. This is a daily driver, something that you can pick up, spray on. After the first 5 minutes, that edginess goes away, and it just becomes a nice, clean, fresh fragrance with a touch of vetiver that makes it, a little bit more masculine for the fellas, and you good to go. And I'm not gonna say you're gonna get a compliment here and there, but this is one of those fragrances that, a lot of people would like. It's one of those mainstream type of scent profiles. So, if you want something that you can just pick up and wear, whether it's cool weather or even hot weather, Dior Homme 2020 is probably going to be a good fragrance for you to go out and try. Now, for you guys out there that wrote this off because it wasn't like the original, I'm telling you, put that in the back of your mind. Go put this fragrance on your skin and just walk around, okay? And you will see that it actually is a good fragrance. And I'm extremely happy that I went back and tried it out, okay? So again, from the house of Dior, Dior Homme 2020. All right, guys, so that's going to wrap up this video. The lesson here, man, is just don't write off fragrances. Don't smell them straight from the atomizer when you go out and test them. Put them on your skin, walk around and let it develop on your skin. See how it does with your skin. See how it changes from, you know, top to mid to bottom, and then make the determination if you actually like it, okay? And if there's fragrances out there that you didn't like, let's say 3-6 months ago to a year ago, go back and retry them. I mean, you'll do yourself a service just, you know, retrying it. You know, it won't hurt you to go out and do that, okay? So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said before, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and that's it, guys. Take care. Peace.